Ooh, glory to God. No matter how hard it has been for you, no matter the pain you're going through, surely there is an end to every beginning. I know that your change has come. Job chapter 14 and verse number 14. I will wait till my change comes. No matter how hard it has been for you, no matter the pain you're going through, surely there is an end to every beginning. I know that your change has come. Good evening from the United States of Nigeria. I am FFA, Funke Felix-Adejumo, your host on this show, Navigate with FFA, where we bring people that are on their way to the top or people that are at the top, and we interview them, we listen to them, we ask them questions to find out how did they get here. How? How? Because success is never accidental. How? And they become so vulnerable to pull back the curtains and show us the speed bumps. Success sometimes turned inside out, which people call failure, and how they navigated through it. And over these months, you, my global family, have been fantastic. And I just want to seal her. I just want to pause to say thank you. Thank you to every one of you. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for showing up every Tuesday at 8 o'clock Nigerian time, West African time. I'm so grateful. Please know that your change is coming. Every problem has an expiry date, and very soon you're going to laugh. Right now, I want you to please share the link, 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 share the link. Invite apologize. We don't have control over it. We just trust the Lord. I'm so grateful to God for please, can you hear me? Okay, it's amazing tonight. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you so much. In the studio with me, a beautiful by training. And thank you. I see that you guys can tell me all is well. So I'm using my phone. Let's see how it goes. Okay. She is Pastor Tumise. Me. Welcome, Pastor Tumise.
Good evening.
I came prepared. I'm here. Oh, beautiful. Why are you oppressing us with beauty?
Good evening, ma. From all over the world.
Doing this with...
Thank you for having me, ma. Thank you, ma.
So, my global family, I'm Watrice. Thank you so very much. Please share the link. Share the link. My guest is here tonight. She's still a pharmacist, even though she's a preacher. She's a wife. She's a mom to many, a mother to many mothers. I've worked her over the years. God has used her to raise. And I thank you for being a part of the Ewedemi. Outside of being a wife, a mother, and all the, you know, who is Tumise? Take us to the remote as much as possible. Who is Tumise?
First of all, I like to celebrate and how privileged I feel to be here. And I want to thank you again. I thank you, but I also want to thank you publicly for this opportunity for granted at all. Mama Hamani, I have so many names. So, our precious mama, you give me so many things, ma. You've given me.
You know, we're used to this, and there's nothing network can do about it. This is an opportunity for you to just invite people, just share the link, because you can tell that something good is in the night. That's Pastor Tumise. Well, the media team, I like to just take a moment to speak to you about Miss FFA below 27. You are not below 18. It's your opportunity. FFA Fragrance is my brand. And if you go to my website or at FFA Fragrance, you can see how to join. Finally, will be December 15th. We're going to be crowning fragrance. Please be a part of this. Okay. Share the link. So while we wait for to reconnect, yes, if you have any questions, if you put it in the chat box while she's reconnecting. This lady, I'm very bring on this show. This lady has a story that will blow your mind. She's tonight. She's seen it. She's been through it. And I don't want to tell her story, herself. So if you have any, I'll be able to answer it while we wait for her. So, Pastor Tumise, we wait. Your story to please share with us. Some of you have been sending me congratulatory messages for me, but for you. I'm going back to school at 60. I want you also to also know that you are never too young or too old to fulfill your vision. So please go ahead. You have put on the shelf for a long time. Go pick it up. It's been my old dream to be a lawyer, to study law. If I can do it, you can do it. How old are you? It doesn't matter. There's a man in the school where I'm going that is finishing his PhD. You're never too young. You're never to fulfill your dream. Please go ahead. Your dream. So we're checking out to see that Pastor Tumise is back in the studio. God is good. And I know it. It's so good. The link. Keep sharing the link while we wait for her.
I can't hear you, ma. Okay. I'm not sure. Good evening.
It is well. Yes, we're back. And we're back for good. Outside being a preacher, being a pharmacist, being a wife, can you just go back and explain to us?
First of all, thank you for talking about myself. I want to first of all appreciate my mom, so my mama ego. I want to just start by saying a big thank you. I've thanked you private, thank you publicly, ma. Mama, you've given me money, so to make platforms, you give me another platform tonight. Beautiful Ankara that I'm wearing. By the way, you can get it. Hallelujah. But I get Mama has given me is the gift of the greatest gift you've given me, ma. It's just the gift of your love for my love for me. Is the greatest gift that you've given. I don't take it for granted. I'm so the Lord for the day that the Lord connected. So I ask myself, how did I how did God into the life of Mama Adejumo? I guess I'm just a child of God. Just found me. Grace and mercy found me to my Mama Ego, and I am eternal. Thank you for this opportunity, ma. Again, to be to women all over. So I find it. I was able to talk about myself because I'm a very private person. I've pulled the public person out. I'm a very private person, so going out of my comfort zone a little bit because it's easy. So Tumise Ewedemi is just born in London, England. Actually, the first I was born in St. George, England. Years of my life, I lived in England by nannies because my parents then were in school, and my mom as well was trying to help me. Mama, the network is bad.
Michelle, we just want to be sure. Are you using a laptop? Do you have your phone with you?
I have my phone with me.
Can you just click on the link and connect with your phone, because we're going to edit this before we post it. No problems, everybody. Thank you for your patience. That is inside of this lady that she's going to bless us with tonight. Please can you just click on the link?
Okay.
With your phone, so that you just switch to your phone. Maybe it will be better because your voice is breaking and we need to get the best.
I
apologize, it's essence, but don't worry, we're going to catch up and we're going to take from different parts of the world. Thank you. I know this network is in England now telling us about you connected to your phone, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. I think it's better. So please go ahead. Switch off the. Don't worry, we're going to run now. Yes, because of time.
Okay, can you hear me?
Very well now. Yeah.
Okay. Praise the Lord. So I was saying I was born in London, England.
Yes, praise the Lord. Just go ahead. I was born
in London, England, 70s, and the first 5 years of my life I lived in England. Parents went back to Nigeria in 1975. Actually, my dad, Nigeria, and my mom was in England, pregnant with my sister. So, because I was always a daddy's girl, I loved my dad so much. So, I was told that for him to go back to Nigeria, I chose to go back with him. So I went back to Nigeria, and myself and my dad living with my aunt, who had like maybe 5 children, and I was an innocent 6-year-old girl coming from England. That when we got there, that a lot of the people around me couldn't speak very, very little English. My cousin spoke Yoruba all the time, and here I was coming from England, teased me a lot, called me all sorts of names, called me Ajebota, called me and all of that. And also because I was brought up by, because my parents were in school, they used to feed me a lot of chocolates. I remember. So all my teeth were brown by the time I came back to Nigeria, but brown. So when I ended up living with my cousins, me a lot, called me chocolate teeth. And also because they would call me Oyinbo Pepper and Aje Butter. So all the name calling and teasing, because before then I wasn't even aware that my teeth were brown. So I became very, very self-conscious of myself, and I stopped speaking English. They used to tease me, the neighbors and everybody used to tease me. So I stopped speaking English, and the year after, I couldn't speak a word of English, but I could speak Yoruba very because I wanted to fit in. So all the name calling made me die, and then also because of I was a very reserved child. I was choleric melancholy, but growing up, it was really my melancholy that was very, very obvious. So because I was a melancholy child, very child, they used to think that I was very shy. So they used to call me Aika Onitiju, that in English, but somebody that is very, very shy. So these my aunties and everybody, Aika Onitiju, but no, I wasn't. I was just a very, very reserved and very, very deep child. And then also I retreated, and then my mom was not there to validate or anything like that. My dad would go to work and come back late. All that affected my self-esteem. So we're there, and then a mom came back with my sister, and I remember that when she came back to English, so they moved me from the private school I was, moved me to another private school, Unilag staff school, because my mom was working in University of Lagos then, so I moved to staff school. I thrived a lot. I was a very brilliant child. I was I didn't give my parents any trouble at all. I guess because I was also the firstborn, responsibility that was put on me from a very young age to be good and perfect. And I didn't give them. So I was there, I did very well in school, but I never felt there was anything particularly extraordinary, And I continued in Unilag then, primary school, and then I went to university. Oh, did I mention that I was born into a Muslim family? Actually, I wasn't born a Christian. But I remember that probably in those days, they will ask you, are you a Christian or are you a Muslim? And when they say, are you a Christian or a Muslim, I put my hand up and say, I'm a Christian. And I didn't know anything about Christ. I want to be a Muslim. I would put my hand and say I was a Christian. So I guess there was something in me that was driving me to Jesus, even though I didn't know at that stage. So I finished my primary. Life was very good, there were no problems, no issues. And then I was sent off house. I gained admission into a boarding house, one of the federal girls' college. And I was around maybe 12 when I got into and a year after I got into secondary school, 1983. I remember I just turned 13 in October. I just turned 13. And there was a plane crash that November 1983. And I remember that I was in because I was in a boarding school, and everybody was like, oh my God, this is really terrible. And we're all trying to just, trying to piece the information. There was no social media. So it was just what we were hearing being trickled down to us. There was a plane crash. In my class, whose dad used to travel a lot. And she was so sure that her dad was an engineer, a civil engineer. And he used to do a lot of his job, but I just don't know, my dad can't be there. So we all were consoling this girl. I was part of the group. It's okay, it's fine. And then lo and behold, I remember the following day or so, I just got a call that my head, they were calling me. I needed to go to, so it was principal, we used to call them in those days, was asking, went, and when I got there, she was like, oh, you need to go home. I'm like, go home for what? Preparing for Christmas carol. I joined the choir. I was so excited, looking forward to my parents coming, singing and all of that. And they said, oh, and she said to me, you have to leave. You need to things. Your cousin will bring your things. I'm like, what happened? She said, just get in the car. And when I got home, and just said, get into the car. And they drove me all the way from all the way to my house in Surulere. And I didn't know why I was going home. So when I got, so all the while, all these thoughts were going through my head. It can't be. So anyway, we got home and there were cars everywhere. I remember because it was an incident of my life. There were cars everywhere. And I got out of the car, then sad and looking at me. And by the time I got into the sitting room, of course, I knew what had happened at the world. And oh my God, my world collapsed because my dad was my hero. My dad loved me. My dad was very firm. I was a daddy's girl. I still am. And he was very kind to me because I was a very, very quiet child. He was kind. Time. He was very compassionate. And so I stronger connection with my dad. So when he died, my whole world just collapsed. So I was thrust into this unknown world. Father had been taken away from me. There were so many feelings and emotion. I remember I felt shame. I don't know why I felt shame. I felt like, why me? Why did that have to happen to me? I was pressed for a very, very long time. And at that age, I need to ask you, how are you feeling? How are you doing? No, you were just supposed to just get on. Feelings on the inside of me, my self-worth, my self-esteem, my whole life shattered by reason of this occurrence. And I wasn't particularly growing up because I guess I always just had this thing for my dad. So I remember thinking how my dad being there and all of that. So that was very devastating for me. So I continued, my mom, there were 4 of us, so she had as a single. That's how I ended up being raised by a single mom. And she, I guess the pain as well affected her. The shock, the event also must. My dad was maybe 33 when he died. So she was quite young as well. Her own, I guess, issues, her own grief, her own pain. Sometimes in the midst of that frustration, she would take it out on me, and growing up in a single parent, it was about, you needed to, and I was the firstborn, so I needed to set a good example, be perfect, kill on your master. So what would people say? What people said, because she wanted her children to, she didn't want me to be wayward or anything like that. So she was very, very tough growing up, some of the things that was said and all of that. And because I was affected, I used to soak them in like a sponge. I would just soak everything in. Everything she was affecting me even more. Don't forget that I had the issues of my dad dying and all, and how it affected my self-esteem to deal with. So the harsh words and the strictness and all of it really affected me. And I just kind of just went into my shell. So it was quite tough. I remember that I used to, than coming home. I just preferred to be away from the house because it was tough. But fast forward, I went through secondary school. I did quite well. I was a very brilliant student. I remember that when I finished school, I think I had all A's in my exams. Very, very brilliant. But although Though initially when my dad died, it affected actually that I had to have extra lessons, to help me, help me academically, because I struggled for a very long time. But by the time I got to SS3, I got all A's in my exams and all of that, and I ended up, Unilag. So I gained admission to Unilag, and I wanted to study. I didn't, even though I had all A's, I didn't make the cutoff for I settled for botany. They say, oh, do botany, and then when you finish, you can change. So you can change after year 1. But I ended up doing botany for 4 years, and but because of everything I had been through, the issue with my dad, I had a lot of I had a lot of low self-esteem, lack of confidence, confusion. I was sick. There was no male validation. My dad that loved me and all of that had been taken away from me. So there was a void, and there was nobody then that you could even talk to. Nobody could affirm you or let you know you were okay. University, this void that I had on the inside of me, and this just somebody who just tell me you were okay, you are good enough, you're fine. But that was so. This led me to start, making wrong choices. I felt I needed to be in a relationship to feel good. I didn't have it from being in relationships. I was looking for love in the wrong places, looking for validation and all of that. Of course, by the time you get into a relationship, you break up, the feelings of because then you don't then think to yourself, you now say to yourself, oh, it's because you're not, and then enough, it's because you're not pretty enough, it's because you're not good enough, it's because you're not tall enough, because you're not light enough. Issues were just damaging the little esteem I had left, from one relationship to the voices and all of that. And that continued like that for a very long time. And then to university as well, we were part of the in crowd, we were part of the every party. I was not born again. Remember, at this time, I was not born again at all. I didn't know Jesus, even though I hadn't given my life. So I during my university, the other, I ended up having an extra year. An extra year. During that extra year was when I found Christ. One of my friends now, she gave her life for us, and then she just invited all of us to church. In my extra year, giving my life to Jesus, one of the best decisions of my life. Gave my life to Jesus. My extra year, I called Sovereign Army. I'm sure it's still there under the leadership of Pastor Tony Rapu. It redeemed, gave my life in Sovereign Army. And then when I finished doing service, and I was going to Freedom Hall, then did my youth service, but that I was not going to settle in Nigeria. There was just something that I knew from a very young age. Maybe I don't know, but there was something inside of me that just made me know from a very young in Nigeria. So as soon as I finished my youth service, I relocated to, this was in 1994 or so. I relocated to England, Jesus House as a worker. I remember that I could not wait to become a worker. Life, in those days, it was not cool to be born again. It wasn't cool at all. A lot of parents were very excited about their children being born again, because they would just think, they would say, oh, we were messing. I just felt that in those days, anybody that gives their life to Jesus, they're just wasting their life. It wasn't taken very well. Me wanting to go to church was not taken well. My mom was very hard. I remember there were times that I would want to go to church or go for a occasion. I was going to church in the morning. She just tore my clothes. She just tore my clothes. I said, you're not going anywhere. It was that bad. There was one time I went to church and I came back. I think it was fellowship, church, and then fellowship was in the evening, self-fellowship. I came back and you're not coming inside. You're not coming into this home. So I ended up having to stick with but that was what she knew how to do then, because parents just felt that they would just lose you, waste your life if you become born again. So I couldn't wait to join. I couldn't wait to become a worker. So I joined the workforce in Jesus House, 1994, so 1993, 94, and that was where I met my husband. We were both ushers, and we got married, and we got married in 1990. We met in 94, and we got married in 1995. It was very intended for anybody, by the way, but that was how it happened for me. And of all the issues I had gone through, God just was really a father that he ordered my steps, and he brought the right man into my life. Because I was thinking that, thank God I did not go and enter one chance and go and marry somebody that would just abuse. I mean, what would have done to me? Thank God that God led me to a good man, and because God also used my husband to validate me. He used him as well to heal me of some of the emotional baggage. I was like my husband, and I married the right person. I remember that when I was in Jesus' house, boyfriend showed up. I was thinking about it the other day, and he joined the same department as me. Confused. I chose my husband, and I thank God for that. So 1990, we got married, and then a few months after that, I got pregnant with my first son. A few months after that, our pastor then, Pastor Agu, said, "Oh, in the east of London, myself and my husband and was sent out to go and start this new church." And because I just, with everything, myself and my husband were very, very, I remember we were very, very involved in the church. And because it was, we were just starting off. It was a young church. We were starting off. We were the foundation workers of the church. So very heavily involved in the church, every church, man. So we were there doing church. I was a young, I became the assistant pastor. And at that time, I was only faith. I was a baby myself. And I had a baby. I just had my son. And we were thrust into ministry. He was the assistant pastor's wife. Our pastor was not married at that time. So we started ministry, said, "Oh, you're going to be the one leading the women by default." So I become the default women leader. I was only 3 years in faith. No mentorship, no preparation, nothing. And you were thrust into this, some women. And I just had a baby myself. I needed somebody to baby women because I was the assistant pastor's wife. That was one of the most traumatic, because I was inexperienced. I was immature. Training ministry. I didn't even know that I was going to end up in ministry, and I was told, "Oh, it was really tough," because of course I owe maturity, and because of my lack of experience and my lack of preparation of things, it didn't go well. It didn't go well. The women almost killed me. Some felt they almost killed me. They said, "Who does she think she is? That has been made captain over us." They were all older than me. I was the young. Some of them felt I didn't qualify. Where did she come from? She doesn't have experience. It was tough. I remember then that there was a lot of envious and jealous, really. Lots of backbiting, envy, criticism, talking about me. They almost killed me. So after some time, the esteem was already on the floor. So that just He just finished it. Floor. So the little I had left, I just felt I was not good enough. I felt there was, hey, you are the wrong personality. I felt I was not yard material. Then they used to call, those said, yeah, but yeah, you're supposed to be like a mother hen. I like my privacy. I like I can be in my house from now till I'm a very private person. So, but the pastor's wife is supposed to be mama, yeah, you feed them with spiritual, you feed them with physical food. But meanwhile, I wasn't like that. So I just felt the enemy told me, you're not good enough. You're not good enough. So I withdrew. When my pastor saw that they were going to kill me, he just handed, literally, now there was one older, he said, okay, you know what, you take over. So that woman took over. And then she did it once, and then another lady came who was more mature, she was very sanguineous. She was, those kind of people that are everywhere. Lovely lady. She's my friend now. So she now became the head of the women. The enemy now. That's the type. This is how his pastor's wife is supposed to be. Can you see loved her? Everybody and get what I felt. The enemy now made me feel. You see, I told you what it takes. So my male side now came up. In front of the church. I started sitting at the back. I started sitting at the back. I remember I told my husband, can we leave this church? But because he was the assistant pastor, he said, no, there was nobody to help me. So I withdrew. I lacked confidence. All the feelings I had suppressed, the low self-esteem and everything came up. And I went through a very tough time. The process of healing. That was a time of women started listening to TD Jakes, because God now started dealing with me and all the emotional baggage, all the things I had suppressed for years. Lord, Joyce Meyer, Beauty for Ashes, I would be devouring it because God was doing an internal makeover, because I realized that confidence on the inside, I didn't have any esteem or self-worth. So God started the journey of healing me. During that period, I'm jumping a lot of things. During that period, I was working in the foreign office, the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. It was a good job, and there was an opportunity to go into the diplomatic service. But I just felt, because, was because of church, my son, that I didn't want to be, moving from one country to the other. After some time, I got a little bit discontented with that role. I felt there was more to my from like, why should I be working in the foreign office as an administrator? So I started thinking, I was about 27 then. So I decided that, you know what, I wanted to do pharmacy in Nigeria, the JAM result. Let me try and go back for pharmacy. So I applied. I applied. I was living in London and my school in Brighton. So there were lots of hurdles. I had a young son of under 2 history. And then you want to go and do pharmacy and your school is like 3 hours away from where you live. I gained the admission. So after praying and a lot of encouragement from my husband, I went back to school. I went back to do pharmacy. I remember when I got to school, I was the oldest in my class. All the other students were like 18, 19. I was 27 and I had a child. I was a mature student, one of the oldest. And I wasn't living on campus. I was living in London. My school was in Brighton. For those that live in UK, you know how far that is. I remember that they told me, even the lecturers told me, you cannot make it. It's not possible. You want this? Do you know how tough it is? And then I had responsibilities, but I did the pharmacy and I did my period for a year, qualified as a pharmacist. So, and I'm glad I I'm glad I did, because I didn't want to look back on my life. Oh, I could have, like now, be thinking, oh, I wish I had done it. No, so I became a pharmacist. My husband was doing ministry. Me, I was just there at the back. I withdrew from out of relationships. I didn't check out of God. I didn't check out of hope, because it was a very tough time. And I didn't want anything to do with women. I became a pharmacist. Life was good. I had my son, a little bit financially, and I wasn't responsible for anybody. I wasn't responsible for doing ministry. He was doing ministry. He's like, you can't continue, and then forged some relationships, and I was just very happy with my life. And then all of a sudden, the pastor did, and now came and said, oh, there are some people in Milton. They are thinking of maybe myself and my husband should go and start a church in Milton. I said, God forbid, not me. Go where? No. So my husband, at that time, he went to pray. He's now came and said, God said, I said, it's not me. God told you. He did tell me. When I married, did we see ministry? I'm not going. He said, at least pray. I said, I'm not praying. I said, I'm not praying. I said, have you forgotten what I went through? Have you forgotten? I am comfortable where I am. Why do I was working as a consultant pharmacist in Boots at that time, cheap organization. I said, we are just financiers of the ministry of the gospel. We will support in any way, but I'm not. We will finance the ministry, but me, where is Milton Keynes? We're living in London. I'm like, where is that on the map? I'd heard of it, but I'd never been. He said, he's calling you. He didn't call me. So I refused to pray for about a year. That I'm not going to go through that experience again. So after about a year of no house, we didn't find a house in the whole of London. The whole of London, we couldn't find a house. We had the money, but we couldn't find it, because at that time we wanted to move away from East London because of my son. We wanted him to grow up in a very good environment. So my pastor now called me after about it. He said, what exactly is your issue? I said, comfortable. I'm not going anywhere. God did not call me. God did not tell me. I'm not pastor's wife material. So pastor material. That let other people go and do ministry. So I'm comfortable running away from her. Remember. So my pastor now said then, interested in your comfort. He's more interested in his divine purpose. His divine. And you know that if God is telling you to go and you don't want to go, you can start using pain. Like the group will just pain. After everything I've been through. So when I had pain, I thought, no, I don't want pain in my life. So, and then at this stage as well, I finished pharmacy, I was home because I went back to school. I kind of put that on hold because I wanted to concentrate on pharmacy degree. So when I finished pharmacy, I felt, okay, now I can now start thinking. And it didn't come. My son came, we didn't even have to pray 2 months ago. This second one wasn't coming. I said, what's going on here? We went and did tests, and they told me that I had secondary infertility. Because I thought I had the first one, and I didn't believe God. Secondary infertility. And they said, with different options, assisted conception. IVF. But for me, at that time, I didn't, if it don't help me to do, there's nothing wrong with IVF. There are different paths for different people. But for me, the way God wanted me to go. So I was having a discussion with a friend of mine casually, and she said, that sometimes, it's when you go. We were talking about, and the Bible says that Jesus said, to the night, go and show yourself to the priest. And as they went, and as soon as I heard that, the Holy Ghost said to me, what about if you're getting pregnant is tied to your obedience? God caught my attention. Like, as they went, they were healed. So as you go and obey, then I'll open your womb. So that was how I surrendered, reluctantly. I was a very real, he didn't want to come. But I wanted another child and I wanted to do his will. So I followed my husband, started ministry and all of that in Milton Keynes. This was in year 2000, about. Just myself, my husband, and my son. We moved down the house. We found a house. That's the house we're still in till now. Still, we found the house, the perfect house. We moved in. My son settled. We started the ministry and all of that. God now started helping me a little bit because I never felt there was it. Even when I was growing up, man, nobody, even that was very brilliant. I never thought I could lead anybody. They didn't choose me. They didn't choose me for class captain. They didn't choose me for library. Even though I was telling them, even library prefect, they didn't give me. You can be keeping the books. Nothing, no anything good that could come out of Nazareth. There was, because I was told, I never thought there was anything. So I started, and I just found out, okay, when I speak for people, it makes sense. And, they get healed. People's lives are being transformed. So I started, just on my life. I started doing women's ministry and all of that. And God was helping us. And fast forward, I've jumped a lot of things. Fast 3 years into ministry. So I think, there's nobody I can really talk to in ministry around me, a lot of instructors, but I felt there was a void. There was nobody that could challenges. Sometimes you needed counsel, advice on how to do things. And there was nobody I could really connect to like that. And then one day I was watching KICC, and this is how I met Mama Adejumo, my mama. And she was preaching. Mama, you were preaching that day. I never heard of Mama. But I guess maybe because I was not in ministry and I zoned out when it came to Mama. But that day I was watching KICC and Mama was preaching this message. Acts chapter 3. Yes. That was the message talking about her life. The man at the beautiful gate and how, you moved from talking about her life, and you were talking about your life, man, the journey of your life and how you grew up, the things you went through, and how you didn't want to be a pastor. And I just, it was like, this is me. It was just like I was hearing a version of my life. It was like God was a future that, can you see? She's not sanguineous like you. She was really, see what I'm doing with her life. It was a strong connection. I cannot explain it. We follow her. She's following Christ. So I started looking for Mama's message. This was in 2009. I started looking for messages of Mama. I got people to go and get messages. I want to meet Mama Adejumo. I don't know anybody. I'm thinking she's in Akure. I'll make a trip to Akure, and then I'll just go and introduce herself, because the Holy Spirit told me that she's following Christ. So I thought I'll go to Akure and maybe I'll just introduce my dad. I'd been listening. I got all the messages, they are still in the archive. Even Mama cannot get those messages. I have some of Mama's messages that she doesn't have, and she cannot get them from meeting her. And it was really helping me to do ministry, to be confident. It's like I listen to some things. It's like when the Lord brought Mama into me, it just made me feel I'm normal. You don't have to look like them. You have to dress like them. You don't have to change your personality. Just be yourself. You are gifted. I needed you to be sanguineous pastor's wife, if I needed you to be like that, I would have made you like that. I'm where you're supposed to be. And you are fitted and gifted for your purpose. You're not inferior to anybody. Normalized me. I felt normal. So I was, confidence came back, and then I now found out that the women I was running from, my passion, God started using me. All the things I had been through, the low self-esteem, through my wounds, I was able to heal other people. That's how I developed a passion for women. That's relationships, through what I went through. I'm able to understand where you are at, and I'm able to help. So that was how I started phoning Mama. And then the story of how I met Mama is for another day. Not have enough time to finish that one. So got supernaturally devoted to Mama. I was on holiday in Portugal, and somebody in my church, they met Mama at the airport, and the connection came, and my life just took it, in terms of ministry, my confidence, my esteem, and all of that. And then that till where I am now, and it's been getting better and better to do things I've skipped, but I try to just pick different things that I bless people. There's so much I haven't said, and we are here now. Oh, part I missed, ma. When I was believing God for my second child, I didn't want to leave my comfort zone, and God said, as they went, they were healed. So and then the journey of waiting started. When my husband was at church, he was the assistant pastor, and he was the one that used to go and name all the babies. His naming ceremony. He would be the one that would go and name the babies. But we were believing God for our own. So it was like we were both modern day Elizabeth and Zacharias. Faithful, and why this baby was not coming. I thought, have I done something? So I was very depressed during that season because I couldn't understand why I was in God's waiting. During that journey of waiting on the Lord for my second child was when I now had the power of worship, because that was where I got through all the stuff with the women in the church. Worship was my anchor. I used to just worship in God. That was where God used to just do the makeover in my life. So I used to worship. I had this strong desire to just be in His presence. And that was when God started forming my life and all of that. And in the middle of worship one night, in the middle of an encounter with Him, I encountered Jesus, literally. And as soon as I told my husband, I said, the baby is coming. The following month, I got pregnant. So two things. My definitely opened the womb. And then my passion for Him connected me to that divine realm that opened my womb. I actually named my daughter Elizabeth because of that, because I actually felt like a modern day Elizabeth. So her second name is Elizabeth. God, just God just opened my womb. Also gave me that's another aspect of my ministry, because I can identify with Him too. So that's the story of my life, ma. There's so many things I have skipped, not shall to Ewedemi till date.
Oh my God. Wow. What a mighty God serve. What a journey. Thank you so very, very much. Taught so well. And I'm so grateful to God. To your world. You're looking for loyalty, I show you. You're looking for elegance, I show you a lady. You're looking for steps with God, I show you a lady. Pastor Tumise, the pharmacist, the preacher, the mentor, many. Thank you so very much. Between the second child, how many years did you wait?
About 5 years, ma. I think about 5 years of waiting.
5 years of waiting. And then today she has a miracle. Remember, no matter how hard it has been for you, no matter what you're going through, surely there is an end to every. I know that your change has come. This is one of the reasons for Navigate with FFA. Tonight, Pastor Tumise got to navigate life for us, and we are most grateful. Different comments, Pastor Tumise. People are thanking God for that you're consistent, or you and your husband. Different comments from different people. Some people said, Chinukwe, we were together at Freedom Lagos House Fellowship. You see, so she's not lying. You know, see you, and they're thanking God for you and your husband. Thank you. Thank God. And for being to touch many people. Our time is up. I know when we for issues. In closing, Pastor Tumise, should a woman be? Oh, Jennifer, thank you so very much. Thank you for the congratulations. I appreciate you. Please, I just want you to know that I'm reading the comments and I'm grateful. Ready. Thank you for everything. I appreciate you. As we a woman be economically empowered, or should also remain in an abusive relationship? I know we don't have the time. We're going to bring you back. Maybe just one or two statements. What's your view? Should a woman have something?
I believe, yes, ma'am. I believe that it's our own, because when you look at the book of Mark, sorry, I keep referring to the Bible because there was a woman there that the Bible calls a woman with an alabaster box. That she had, that was her own, and the Bible says that woman, she decided that she was just going to fall on Jesus, he said. And I believe that every woman should have her own substance, her own money. Now, my husband, he blesses me, but I have my own. I don't have to wait for him. I don't have to wait for him before I buy a bag. I don't have to wait for him before I do my own personal effects. And so it makes you have a sense of worth. But if you're doing it, can affect your self-esteem. You have to wait for him to give you money to buy your feminine products. So every woman, I believe, is financially empowered. And in these last days, I believe that God is going to be giving women alabaster boxes, their own money, their own wealth. God is going to be raising a lot of substance. Yeah. In these last days, women that will be in whatever sphere they find themselves, so I don't believe that the woman should just be a housewife. You should have something that is, your own. And as you trust God financially, I believe so. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so very much. Somebody wishes we should just stay here and then you just continue your powerful testimony. And thank you so very much again for sharing tonight. I'm sure I don't need to. You see the different seasons of our life, different lessons we have learned. Rejection. See how she overcame, and then became a pharmacist after she got married. So you're not too old. 3 hours, the trips, testing and saying yes, that commuting almost every day to go to classes. Just price that is true. If you want, if you can conceive it, you can achieve it. One sentence. Thank you for being so beautiful and so brainy, so intelligent with FFA today. Then I come your way again next Tuesday by God. Powerful. Thank you, Pastor T. That's what I call our prophet. I'm a T, you see, so many things. Then I come your way at 27. Go on my website or follow at FFA so you can be my way at selecting Miss FFA Fragrance. And the grand finale will be on December 15th. It's one of its kind. I'll see you then. Next week, Tuesday, thank you. The media team doing fantastically well. So make sure the Lord bless you. Thank you, my global family. I appreciate all of you, hundreds of you. Bless you. Good night.